In the year 2001, a promising student entered one of the strongest universities in the world. Within 2 years, this smart student came up with a terrifying invention, which led her to withdraw from the university in 2004 to start her own company and live the American dream in Silicon Valley, like most business magnates of her time. The student's dream was to revolutionize blood testing by being able to run hundreds of tests on a very small sample. This dream made her one of the Silicon Valley's famous figures and turned her into one of the youngest female billionaires. However, her relentless pursuit of this dream turned into a nightmare that destroyed her life and her company, and could even land her in jail. Her name is Elizabeth, and her company is Theranos. Now, let me tell you her story. When Elizabeth filed her patent, many university professors told her that this idea was beautiful but impossible from a technical standpoint. But she didn't accept that and instead had the same mindset as the Silicon Valley's elites, that everything in Silicon Valley is possible. Remember what the adventurer said to understand the Silicon Valley's mindset. When someone gives you a great opportunity and you're not sure how to execute it, but then you learn how, that's exactly what Elizabeth did. Within just 6 years, specifically in 2010, her company, Theranos, secured $290 million in funding without a working product. This reminded me of some companies we have heard about recently, including a car battery company. In any case, the company continued to thrive in 2016 and convinced the company's founder, one of the biggest and most important retired politicians, George, to join the company as a prominent member of the board of directors, along with the big name and charisma that her presence brought to the board. Elizabeth Holmes' charisma came from the unique personality she worked on step by step, from her voice to her clothing and even her way of speaking, to the point that she was said to change her voice in interviews to appear stronger than in reality. Not only that, but she tried to imitate many things, even in clothing, and this imitation was initially a resounding success. Behind the success of Bouwa was the fog of the company's own performance, where there was no clear information about the state of France's products and whether there was any tangible development. But suddenly, the company you visited announced that it had signed a deal with one of the largest pharmacy networks in America, called Name Omitted. This deal will put a blood analysis device called Addison in centers, along with excellent news for the company from a serious board of directors and products that enter pharmacies on a large scale. Bouwa's valuation rose to $9 billion, a number not to be underestimated, and orders began pouring in from large companies for its products, and of course, the name Hun. The company has now made it to the biggest magazines of the day and beyond, and has begun to receive in Silicon Valley. There was a billionaire named Elizabeth Holmes whose success story was the talk of the town. However, behind closed doors, a scary situation was brewing that some employees couldn't keep silent about anymore. Negative articles began to surface, criticizing the company's inaccurate and ineffective products, and revealing that oftentimes the company was using products that weren't even theirs. They claimed to perform blood tests and say that their results were accurate, but the company's reputation began to suffer more and more as news continued to leak out and doubts increased day by day. Despite trying to defend herself and her company in numerous interviews, the negative news continued to emerge from the company. This led to Walgreens cutting ties with Iran, and it was a painful blow to the company and its establishment. Even the U.S. Food and Drug Administration banned the company from using the Theranos device, one of its most important inventions. This was the beginning of the end for the company. In 2016, the company reached a settlement with one of the government regulatory bodies in a fraud case. The number of employees dropped from around 800 to 24 in 2018. During the investigations, it became clear that Theranos claimed its revenues in 2014 were $100 million, while in reality, the revenues did not exceed $100,000. With the increasing scandals, lawsuits began to pile up against Elizabeth, and in 2018, she was charged with defrauding investors. Another case of patient fraud not to forget is the Theranos blood testing device. If the results were false, it was playing with patients' lives. This case was closely followed by Americans, businessmen, media, and others, and the results were recently revealed at the beginning of 2022, where she was convicted of fraud against investors but not against patients, which could lead her to prison. This nightmare that happened here is worth more than 200 blood tests with one drop, and it has become a nightmare. Of course, The media and many people made Elizabeth Holmes appear as a devil, and even a whole book was written about her. I recommend you read the book, Bad Blood, but the truth is that this thing is not a rare occurrence. In Silicon Valley in America, meaning entrepreneurs and company founders, they can inflate their status and make false claims in the hope that they will quickly fix the issue and things will go smoothly. Often, things get done and companies grow, but people forget the essence of the matter. Dear viewer, you shouldn't believe everything companies say, especially startups. You should scrutinize their words and see if there are articles trying to expose them. What's the situation of the company's employees, founders, their history, and so on. This doesn't only apply to stock market companies but also to digital currencies in the world. We have heard many stories of fraud recently, and dear viewer, you now know a story that you can share with others in less than 5 minutes. If you want to know more, pause the episode and check the sources list. Don't forget to like and share the episode with family and friends. Goodbye.